हाँ करो. Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 15th of February 2024. In today's newspaper analysis, we are going to cover the most important articles from the newspaper, and also we are going to cover a map related topic, and this topic will help you to solve map related questions in the prelims exam. So let us quickly see the list of articles that we are going to cover in today's newspaper analysis. So these are the articles that we will be covering. So we have listed the, let's say, title of these articles along with the relevance from the Hindu newspaper. And so now let us quickly see the first topic, right, which is a map related topic. It is, let's say, places in news. So it can be categorized as places in news. So today this Crimean Peninsula was in news. In one of the article, there is a mention of Crimean Peninsula, and we will talk about that news article as well. But before that, let us see where is Crimean Peninsula located, right? So to understand any mapping topic, what you need to do, you need to see that topic from a broad perspective, so that, like, that topic seems small as compared to other areas. So, like, then you will be having a broad picture where it is located. So when we talk about Crimean Peninsula, so this is the location of Crimean Peninsula, as we can see, right, in the map. This is the location of Crimean Peninsula, and this Crimean Peninsula is, let's say, like, located in the Black Sea region. On the right side of it, we have a country which is Russia. Russia is the largest country in Asia. I mean, like, it does have its, let's say, territories in Europe as well. And then just to the north of Crimean Peninsula, we have Ukraine. Remember, Ukraine is to the north and Russia is to the east. And Russia does have its expanse in the northern area as well. Now, if we talk about to which country does this Crimean Peninsula belong now? Now it is part of Russia. Why it is part of Russia? Because way back in 2014, Russia has annexed the Crimean Peninsula. Annexation means forcefully taking over, right? Forcefully taking over a territory using force, right? Not using diplomatic means, but by using force, brute force, or let's say using military force. Earlier, before this, Crimea was part of, let's say, Ukraine, but like after then, Russia has, let's say, overtaken Crimean Peninsula, and now Crimean Peninsula is part of Russia. But here we need to understand one important factor related to this particular mapping region, is that it is located in Black Sea region, right? Just to the north of it, we have Sea of Azov, and we are going to discuss about a strait also. What is a strait? A strait is a narrow channel of water that connects two big water bodies. For example, let's say this is a big water body, right? And the Black Sea is another big water body. So there must be a kind of strait, right, which will be connecting these two water bodies. So we are going to discuss about that strait as well. Okay, so now here let us quickly see another map related to Crimean Peninsula. So, like, if we see this map over here, this map also showcases, let's say, Russia. Capital of Russia is Moscow. Ukraine, capital of Ukraine is Kyiv, and this is Crimean Peninsula. Okay, this is the Crimean Peninsula, and this Crimean Peninsula has been enlarged in this map. Okay, it has been enlarged in this map, means like it has been made bigger. So there is a place which is known as Sevastopol. Okay, where is this place located? Sevastopol. This place is located in Crimea. This place remains in news, let's say, time and again. Sevastopol, every time it remains in news whenever, let's say, like, there is a news related to war between Ukraine and Russia. Okay, so Sevastopol is important for you to remember. Okay, so this basically this thing, let's say, like, this thing was there. It was earlier part of Ukraine, but now it is part of Russia because Russia has annexed the Crimean Peninsula. Now with this, we do have another map also for you. So this is the strait that we were talking about. This is known as Kerch Strait. Okay, name of this strait is Kerch Strait, and so this is a kind of opening, or this is a narrow channel of water that is connecting the Sea of Azov with the Black Sea. Okay, this is known as Kerch Strait. So it is very important for you that you should remember the name of this strait, Kerch Strait. Because this year Kerch Strait has been in news multiple times, right? There has been a time when the Kerch Strait was damaged by a drone attack, okay, was damaged. And soon after that, what Russia has done, Russia has pulled itself out of an initiative which was known as Black Sea Grain Initiative. In that initiative, Russia was a member country. Along with that, Ukraine was a member country, then Turkey was a member country, and I think World Bank was also a mediator over there, was also a member, right? So what Russia has done, it has pulled itself out of that initiative soon after there was an attack on Kerch Strait, right? So this is the thing. So, and there is a bridge also. This is Kerch Bridge. It is known as Kerch Bridge, right? It is built on the top of this strait, okay? And there is a section. This is known as Causeway section, okay? This is Causeway section, like that, okay? Sevastopol we discussed earlier as well, and Crimea is part of Russia, okay? Russia is connected to Crimea through the Kerch Strait, or on the top of Kerch Strait we do have Kerch Bridge also. So having understood this, let us now look at the first topic, right? First article for discussion today. And this article is related to environment and ecology, and this article does have connection with political things. However, we are going to understand this article. So this article says Kerala House requests central government to amend Wildlife Act to tackle human-animal conflict, okay? To tackle human-animal conflict. Here we need to understand that where does human-animal conflict arise? Whenever, let's say, like, the animals, like the habitation of animals are encroached upon by human beings. Let's consider there is a national park, let's consider there is a wildlife sanctuary. But like if human beings create their habitations inside the wildlife sanctuary, inside the national parks, what will happen? They are encroaching upon the territory of the wildlife, okay? They are encroaching upon their territory. So it is kind of encroachment in their habitat. So what will happen? When animals do not have proper area to roam about, so like they will wander, they will come out of their own territory, they will sometimes enter into human habitations, they may enter into the agricultural field. So when they move on the agricultural field, so agriculture gets damaged. When they enter into human habitations, there is a likelihood that human-animal conflict may arise, and because of human-animal conflict, what may happen? That human beings may be killed by the animal. And this has happened also at multiple places, right? Across the country, it has happened in Kerala as well. And recently the Kerala government has decided, right, to talk to the central government and ask the central government to amend. Amend means make some changes in the Wildlife Act. So the Kerala government is, let's say, like discussing with the central government, so that the central government amends or changes the Wildlife Protection Act. So what is this Wildlife Protection Act 1972? So the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 is an act that has been created by the Parliament of India, right? So this act has been enacted by the Parliament of India, and that's why the Parliament of India is, let's say, authorized to amend it. Means like it can amend this particular act since it was created by it. This act cannot be amended by any state government. The state government can reach out to the central government to request that, like, you need to make some amendment. And so what is this Wildlife Protection Act 1972? So the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 is an act that has been created by the government for the protection and conservation of the animals, right? Under this act, animals are protected, animals are conserved in their territories, in their habitations. And for that, Government of India and various state government have notified, let's say, wildlife reserves, they have notified national parks, they have reserved protected areas, they have notified protected areas for the wildlife, so that wildlife can thrive, can, let's say, grow in their own territory, right? But what has happened in the state of Kerala? In the state of Kerala, it has been noticed that many a times these animals come out of their own territory and they enter into human habitation, and this leads to man-animal conflict. And whenever it leads to man-animal conflict, there is a likelihood that an animal may be killed by the man or human beings may be killed by the animal, and later on human beings also retaliate, and there is a kind of conflict, let's say, keeps on going on. But since human beings are large in number, they do have, let's say, weapons, so the thing is like this endangers the lives of animals also. So what the Kerala House or the State Legislative Assembly of Kerala has decided, they have decided that wherever there are conflicts happening, so they want to denotify those areas. They want to, let's say, denotify those areas from animal conservation perspective. So that's why they have decided to reach out to the union government in that regard. But whether the union government accepts it or not, it is up to them. Whether they initiate an amendment proceeding related to this Wildlife Protection Act, this is also to be seen. And the thing is like, should it be amended or not, right? Whether it is right to amend or not, this also needs to be pondered about. Okay, so this is the news item. So this is related to, let's say, like human animal conflict, and there has been situations where, let's say, many elephants have been killed. They are killed because of electrocution, or electrocution means they accidentally jumped over or accidentally they touched the electricity wires, and that have killed them. There was also an instance where, let's say, a kind of elephant was fed with some kind of let's say fruit, and in that fruit there was there was this thing, there were patakes inside it. I mean, like firecrackers were there, and that has led to killing of that particular this elephant, right? So this is the news item. So with this, now let us quickly move to the another topic which is related to an editorial discussion. So we are going to discuss this topic. It says rescuing grace from disgrace. Okay, rescuing grace from disgrace. So let me write down this as topic number 2. Now here in this article, basically we are going to discuss about a very important thing related to the central government and state government, related to the role of the party, right, that comes after election, and the role of the president and the governor. So here let me make a distinction between these things. On one side there is, let's say, central government. On the other side, let's say, there is state government. There is a state government. So what happens in the central government, right? When we talk about central government, in the central government there is the Parliament of India. Let's say, there is a government, or central government is led by the Prime Minister, and Prime Minister is assisted by Council of Ministers, and there is the President of India also, right? There is the President of India, and the President of India holds the highest constitutional post in the country, right? Highest, the first citizen of India. And if you talk about what does the Parliament constitute, right? If you talk about the Parliament of India, right? If you talk about the Parliament of India, in the Parliament of India, President of India is the first important constituent. Apart from this, the Lok Sabha, right? I am just writing in Hindi, Lok Sabha, and the third part is Rajya Sabha. Parliament Rajya Sabha, right? In Parliament we do have Lok Sabha, we do have Rajya Sabha, right? And we have the President of India. So what happens at the start of every session of the Parliament? Every session means like every year when the Parliament reassembles, right? In every year there are 2 sittings, right? So at the start of every session of the parliament, there is an address by the President of India. Okay, there is an address by the President of India, right? This address is to both the houses of the parliament. Okay, this address is to both the houses. What are those houses? One of the houses is the Lok Sabha and other is Rajya Sabha, to both the houses. But the thing is, the letter that the President of India reads, right, in the customary address, this is known as customary address or ceremonial address, or it is also considered to be a ritual that is being performed in India. So the letter or the document from where the President of India reads, this document is drafted by the central government, and they share this draft to the President, and the President reads that draft. So the thing is, the question arises that when the draft is coming from a political party, so that political party wants to boast about themselves that they have done good things, they are trying to do best things and all. So that presidential address also has political connotations, right? So many a times there have been instances where the President of India suggests the political party, suggests the let's say like government, that there should be some changes, right? Some rectification must be done in this speech. So in this article, basically the author has discussed about the rectifications that have been suggested by the President of India from time to time, right, from his own experiences, and also he has mentioned about the rectifications that have been suggested by the governor of a state, right, governor of states to the political parties in those states. Okay, so basically what we are going to understand that, like, here there can be tussle between the president and the government, like central government. There can be tussle between the governor in a state and the chief minister of the state. So in this article, author has cited, let's say, 3 examples from his own experience. So the author has been a former governor also. He has been a former governor of West Bengal. He has been a former governor to another state, right, to Bihar, and he has been the joint secretary to like President R. Venkat Raman, and he has been the let's say secretary to another president, K.R. Narayanan. Okay, so like I'm going to talk about those examples now. All right. So here the author talks about 2 examples. I'm going to write down those author talks about 2 examples. One example of Governor R. Venkat Raman. And the other of, President R. Venkat Raman and President K.R. Narayanan. Okay. So what has happened? These 2 presidents have suggested changes to this person, like Gopal Krishna Gandhi, and like those suggestions were good enough to be changed, and those suggestions have been accepted as well. And there have been situations when this person himself was the governor of 2 states, right? He has been governor of 2 states. Which states? Number 1 is West Bengal, and number 2 of the state of Bihar. So this person has also, let's say, like has to give ceremonial address to the state legislative assembly, and in his speech also, let's say, like in the document that he has received, he has suggested some changes to the state government, and those changes were accepted and they were modified also. And here he gives one example where, let's say, like the governor or the president do not get sufficient time even to go through this speech, and like when it comes to getting it modified, it will take more time to get it modified as well, because hundreds of copies of the ceremonial address are printed, right, to be distributed among the members, right, of the houses. So the thing is, he said that there are times where such thing are, means like the changes becomes very difficult because of paucity of time. But there was an instance where he suggested some change to the chief minister when he was the governor of a state, and chief minister has agreed to it. But after some time, like just before the address, just before the day of address, he received another, let's say, copy, and that copy did not have any modifications done. So the governor has interacted with the chief minister again, and he has asked the chief minister that, like, although you have accepted, but no modification has been done over here. So the chief minister said, I was quite busy, could not get it done. So, like, what he did, like, whatever changes were suggested, so he got them printed in a separate page, and he added those that particular paragraph, let's say, on the top of it. So that got more attention, okay, that got more attention, and the governor, let's say, was applauded from across the party lines. So here author is referring to all these examples to cite that nowadays what is happening, the ceremonial address that the governor has to give to the state legislative assembly, the ceremonial address that the president of India has to give to the to both the houses together, the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. These ceremonial addresses, I mean, like, the letters does come from the party which is in power. But this particular thing has been originated, it has started with Great Britain. In Great Britain also similar thing is done. The Queen, right, or the King in Great Britain, they read whatever comes, right, whatever comes from the from their house, from the parliament, okay. Similarly, so in this article author has cited many such things, and finally author is saying that, like, it should not be politicized. There should be coherence in the ideas, right, between the governor and the state government, between the president and the central government, so that, let's say, like, the tussle does not arise. And author says that a point of, let's say, grace can be brought from disgrace in a way that the government in power should be, let's say, like, should be taking the lead in, let's say, reducing the friction between the governor and the chief minister, and president and the prime minister or the central government. This is the thing. So author over here is saying that with political polarization between the center, which appoints the governor, and the state, which elects the chief minister, set to accelerate, there could be a way out. And what is the way out? Here the author says that, like, now it will take an innovative and self-denying chief minister to start the reform, to rescue a custom, ceremony and ritual of grace from disgrace. Okay, so if you want to rescue this thing from disgrace, in that case it will take a chief minister to take the initiative, right, to reduce the friction between the chief minister and the let's say, like, governor in that state. Now with this we have another article. This article says a demand that could hamper gender equality, right? So a demand that could hamper gender equality. This article talks about various instances where, let's say, some discriminatory practices are prevalent, right, when it comes to, let's say, like, women. So here in this article author cites many examples, right, where women have been discriminated, and author cites the examples where let's say, like, there are a scope of improvement of policies, right, at the, let's say, government level and let's say in the corporates as well. So here the author is giving the example of Sabarimala case. We all know the Sabarimala temple issue where the Supreme Court of India has given a judgment. So in Sabarimala what has happened, earlier women were prohibited from entering the temple, right, like altogether women were prohibited from entering the Sabarimala temple. But later on what has happened, like, people have demanded that women should also be allowed to enter the temple, and the case has reached the Supreme Court of India, and the Supreme Court of India has looked into this particular case, and Supreme Court of India has given a decision, and in that decision they have allowed women to enter into the temple. But the question is, can all women enter into the temple? No. Here, like, they have finally prohibited the women to enter the temple who are menstruating, right, who are going through a phase of period, monthly period that happens, right. So in this article author says that, like, periods in women are a natural process, and this is a, let's say, cyclical process. It's a natural process, and so, like, the society must be let's say society must be enlightened enough to allow women to enter the temple. So author is saying this particular thing. And author has also cited a report which is known as the Global Gender Gap Report of the World Economic Forum. So in the Global Gender Gap Report of World Economic Forum, the World Economic Forum has cited that it's going to take about 135.6 years, means like more than 135 years for the world to bridge the gender gap that we have now. So if you want to bridge the gender gap, all the countries in the world will have to take their own step. And if they take this step, and they will be able to, let's say, bridge the gender gap that we have. And here the author has given the example of Japan as well. So what happens in Japan? Generally in the state, like in Japan, let's say they have created a policy, right? Long back they have created a policy. And in this policy, the Japan government has mentioned that, let's say, like, there will not be discrimination against women at workplaces when they are menstruating. There should be leaves must be given to women. But what has happened, that policy was brought by Japan, let's say long back, okay, so they have brought that policy long back, but after then what has happened, in the workplaces women are more discriminated. Means even after having a policy at the national level, in Japan what has happened, the actual thing, the actual outcome that we have seen is the reverse of what was expected. Why it was reverse? Because now more number of corporates, more companies were employing less number of women. And even if they were employing women, women were paid less, right? And because, why? Because women's will be given like leaves by those companies. So there have been many instances. Here in this article, author cites two more examples also. These examples are from India. One of the example is from the state of Gujarat. So what has happened in the year of 2020 in Bhuj in Kutch district of Gujarat, around 66 girls were forced to strip to check who was menstruating. This is a kind of grave example. I mean, like, here the author has said that in the year of 2020, 66 girl students in an institute, right, were stripped to check whether they were menstruating or not. And also apart from this, this also mirrors the incident in 2017 in Muzaffarnagar, where 70 girls in residential schools were compelled to undress by staff to check for menstruation. So these are two examples. One example is from Muzaffarnagar, which is in Uttar Pradesh. Other example is from Gujarat, where, let's say, school going children from institution were forced to strip, right, just to check whether they are menstruating or not. It means they do not trust them, and this is a kind of grave violation of their, let's say, trust, of their dignity, right? So now in this article the author is saying that this is a fight that still continues. So women have fought to be on the front line in a war. The Supreme Court of India even urged the government to enable equal evaluation of women and have them undergo the same standard of testing as men. Okay, this is the thing. I mean, here in this article, author is saying that what we need to do, we need to evolve as a society. We need to accept the women as they are, right, in workplaces, in homes, everywhere. And they should be treated same as men. They should be paid equal to men. But the thing is, in Japan, what is the case is, let's say, if women are being paid 100 rupees for a work, right, if men are being paid 100 rupees in work for a kind of job, so women will be paid 84 rupees, right? So there is this kind of discrimination that happens, right? So this is the thing. So in this article, author says that paid leave for menstruation may create awareness on this subject, but could end up widening the gender gap. Why it can end up widening the gender gap? Because, let's say, like, similar incident may happen as has happened in Japan also. In Japan, they have created a policy, but that policy has backfired. In actual, that policy, let's say, like, was not implemented well. So with this, now let us quickly move to another article. This is a very short article. We are going to discuss this article now. It says, farming consensus. The center must address grievances of farmers through talks. So here the question is related to farmers, right? Farmers are considered to be annadata for the society. They are considered to be let's say the ones who are meeting the food security demand of the country. They are the ones who are producing the food grains. They are employed in the primary sector. In India, huge number of people are employed in the primary sector, in the agricultural sector. More than 50% of India's population is employed in the primary sector, especially in agriculture sector. And agriculture contributes about 18% to the GDP of the country. But the question is, are farmers happy with the business that they are doing? Are they happy with cultivating the, let's say, food crops that they were doing? The answer is no. Why they are not happy? Because they are not able to generate enough profit for themselves. If they are not able to generate enough profits for themselves, is the government doing something for them? Government of India has brought 3 laws for the farmers way back in 2020. But those laws have been, let's say, protested by the farmers. Farmers believe that those laws were not going to, let's say, benefit the farmers in any way. And later on, the government had to take back all the 3 laws, right? Government had to take back all the 3 laws. And now, once again, the farmers have come on the streets with their demands. And the farmers are demanding that the government of India should provide them some basic guarantee. Number one, they have demanded that MSP should be legalized. I mean, like, as of now, there is Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices that recommends the MSP for few crops, right? Around 23 crops they recommend. However, farmers demand that all the crops must get MSP. And not only this, they also demand that it should be legalized. It should be made a legal right for the farmers, right? So they have said that number one, the protesters are demanding legal guarantee for MSP for all crops. They are demanding debt waiver. Debt waiver means if farmers have taken loan, that loan must be waived off by the government, okay? They are also demanding for cancellation of international agreements impacting on agricultural sector. They are demanding a minimum pension of rupees 5,000 for farmers and agricultural laborers, right? And some of these demands were also raised by them in 2021-22, right? These demands were raised by them earlier in 2021-22. However, when the government of India has rolled back all the 3 farm laws, then the farmers have stopped their protest. They have retreated. But once again, they have come on the streets. They are protesting, let's say, on the outskirts of the border, right? Delhi border. So this is the thing. So here now the question arises that the MSP based procurement that the government of India does, right? Government of India does MSP based procurement through its channel, which is known as Food Corporation of India. Does this MSP based procurement provide any benefit to the farmers? Yes, it does provide benefit to the farmers, because farmers are guaranteed of their minimum income. And here the thing is, like, does the government have to pay all the thing? The government only have to pay the difference between the what is the market price and what is the, let's say, like, MSP price. Whatever is the difference, that is only the, let's say, that is only expected from the central government to pay to the farmers. So now with this, let us move to another article. This is a short article. It says pension concerns, okay? This article is related to an organization which is Employees Provident Fund Organization, okay? So there is Employees Provident Fund Organization. So the EPFO has a board of trustees, and this board of trustees of the Employee Provident Fund Organization has suggested for 0.1 percentage point increase in the Provident Fund for deposits for 2023-24, okay? But the thing is, like, this has been accepted by the government. But in this article, they are saying that this is not a new thing. Even last year also similar thing has happened. They have suggested the government to, let's say, increase the let's say, like, interest that they pay to the like PF contributors. So that has been accepted by the government. But the thing is, last year they had increased it by 0.4%. Means, like, this year they have increased by just 0.1%, which is 0.4% less than the previous year. So in this article, they have said that, like, if the government accepts whatever the board of trustees of the Employee Provident Fund Organization are saying, So how much will it cost to the, let's say, finance ministry? How much will it cost to the government, right? So in this article they have mentioned that this will involve a transfer of record 1,07,000 crore rupees to the EPF members, but Government of India has not yet accepted it. And so there is a employees pension scheme also, right? This employees pension scheme is also looked after by the EPFO. EPFO means Employees Provident Fund Organization, and this scheme has been started in the year of 1995, right? And there has been a budgetary allocation also for this, but as of now the Government of India is not willing to increase the pension amount. So earlier, long back, when this policy was brought, right, so the thing is at that point of time there was the UPA government was in power, so they said that we are going to make the pension to be 1,000 rupees, right? 1,000 rupees, they said we are going to have the pension for 1,000 rupees. That time the NDA government was in opposition, they were saying that it should be at least 3,000 rupees. But now NDA government is in power and they have not increased it themselves, right? They have kept it as it is, right? But there are demands that the pension should be doubled. It should be made 2,000 rupees for the let's say pensioners. However, this has not been taken care of as of now. So in this article they are talking about the EPFO related thing, one pension scheme. Okay, so with this we have another article. It says, does trust in national government matter, right? So to understand this particular let's say editorial, we need to go through few examples that the author has given in this article. Okay, so in this article author has talked about that if government have to be trusted, right? This is let me write down this topic as well. Does trust in national government matter? Trust in now basically in this article they have given multiple examples of various countries where let's say trust coexists with stable democracies. Okay, so there are many countries where trust coexists with stable democracies. So if we want to have a vibrant democracy in our country, we need to have a government on which people trust. And here in this article the author has talked about that the government of the day must bring in those policies that fosters the trust of the people in them. And here in this article author has talked about let's say 3 different kind of government. Okay, so they have discussed about 3 different kind of government. And what are those government? They have discussed, or what are those kind of states? These states, number 1, author has talked about ethnic state. Number 2, number 3. Number 1, author has talked about that there can be a state which is ethnic, other is absolute, and third opaque. Absolute and opaque state, right? So when we talk about ethnic state, so ethnic state generally is a country that believes in religion, a country that let's say fosters let's say belief of one particular religion. And these things have been let's say written by a person, Milan Vaishnav Madhav Khosla. So he focused on 3 manifestations of the state. So in this article the author has given few examples. Number 1, to talk about this ethnic state, author has talked about the Citizenship Act, the Citizenship Amendment Act. Amendment Act of 2016. So what has happened in the Citizenship Amendment Act of 2016? So the central government of India has amended the Citizenship Act, right? And in this amended act, in 2019, in this Amendment Act, what the government has said, that all those people who are residing in the neighboring countries means these countries include Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, right? So all those people who belong to Buddhist, Hindu, Jain, Sikh and Christian and Parsis, right? So here they have mentioned some of the countries or states, right? In international relations we call them states. Number one, they have talked about Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan. So they have mentioned these three countries, and they have mentioned religious people, religious minorities in these countries. What? Religious minorities. In these countries, what are they? Number one, Buddhists, Christians, or let's say Hindus, Christians, Parsis, Jains, Parsis, etc. I mean, like, all those minorities except Muslims, right? If they want to come back to India, or if they have entered into India before 2014, so their citizenship approval will be expedited by the government, okay? So it will be expedited by the government. So in this article, the author says that, like, excluding just one minority, which is Muslims, right? Excluding just one minority, Muslims, gives this particular act a kind of, let's say, ethnic look of an ethnic state. Means the Indian government is deviating from its path of being secular country. So here the author says that this violates the constitutional principle of secularism. This particular thing violates constitutional principle of secularism. Second, absolute, right? Related to this also, the author has given example, right? Author has given example. Which example? Author has talked about Article 370 of the Constitution of India. Article 370 of the Constitution of India. So the Article 370 of the Constitution of India has been abrogated by the central government in 2019. So what they have done, they have taken away the statehood of the Jammu and Kashmir. They have converted into 2 union territories. And so in ideal case, in normal situations, like, the central government should take opinion or view of the state government. So it should be done in concurrence with the state government. However, this has been done without the recommendation or without the concurrence of the state government. And later on, the Supreme Court of India has also upheld this particular thing. So author is saying that this is a political absolutism, right? Author says this is political absolutism that the central government has done, right? So they have converted the Jammu and Kashmir state into 2 union territories. Number one, union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and number 2, the union territory of Ladakh, like that. So author says this gives a sense of absolute state. Apart from this, author has cited few other examples also. Author has talked about that the National Family Health Survey data, right? There was a National Family Health Survey data, and this data was published by an organization, and soon after the latest data was published, the director of this organization, the person who was heading this organization, he was suspended, right? So name of this organization is Indian Institute of Population Studies. Indian Institute of Population Studies. So its director was, let's say, initially he was suspended and later on he has resigned also. Means the author is saying that the government of the day is not releasing the data that are needed. It is not releasing the data that are crucial for a democracy to function, to be vibrant. So author is saying that, like, we are getting the sense that the state is turning towards ethnicism, absolutism, and also it's becoming opaque. So author is saying that the trust of people is eroding. Author has cited about a study also, which is known as Gallup World Poll Survey of 2018 to 21. It shows that the decline in trust reduced the life evaluation. All right. So in this article, they have talked about many things. They have talked about, let's say, Swachh Bharat Mission. They have talked about Ujjwala scheme. They have talked that these include new welfare schemes for the poor. And so these are the things. Okay. So in this article, basically, they say that the trust in the government matters, and it can, let's say, the government can increase its trust with the citizens if it becomes transparent, if it, let's say, becomes less absolute, if it allows the criticism of the government to happen, right, easily. These are the things. So finally, author says, unless repressive and autocratic policies are reversed, the survival of democracy seems bleak. Okay, this is the thing. So with this, let us now move to another article. So these are short articles. We are going to discuss about it. It says, Ukraine says its forces destroyed Russian warship in Black Sea. Okay, Russian warship in Black Sea. So we know Russia-Ukraine war is happening. It's been more than 1.5 years, right? So both the countries are, let's say, fighting with one another, and Russia has, let's say, taken in control various places in the eastern part of Ukraine. But Ukraine is defending itself with all its force that it has. It has taken help from many countries, many Western countries also related to this. And what Ukraine has done, Ukraine has recently destroyed a Russian warship, right, in the Black Sea. And that's why today we discussed about this Crimean Peninsula. Okay, so here they have mentioned the name of the warship also. This is known as Kaiser Kunikov. Okay, it is a Russian landing ship of the coast of Crimean Peninsula. So today we discuss the mapping of Crimean Peninsula also. So with this, let us now move to another article. This is a very important, very short article. It's important for the prelims exam. It says, North Korea fires several cruise missiles as part of weapon trials. So North Korea and South Korea, they are, let's say, North Korea is to the north of South Korea, right? So these two countries have been, let's say, rivals to one another for a long time, and North Korea is increasing its military capacity. Why? Because they want to defend themselves, and not only they are defending themselves, they are also being little aggressive on this part. So it has tested various weapons. It has tested, let's say, weapons, nuclear weapons also. Now here it says, like, they have fired several cruise missiles. Now the question is, what do we mean by cruise missiles? Okay, so this topic is important under science and technology. So let us quickly understand what do we mean by cruise missiles. So cruise missiles are those missiles that, like, that once if they are launched, right, once if they are launched, so the thing is their direction can be maneuvered. Okay, cruise missiles means, like, after we have launched it, we can change its direction as well, like that. Okay, so they are known as cruise missiles, and generally cruise missiles carry less warheads. Less warheads means if we have a ballistic missile that may carry, let's say, 5,000 kilogram of something, so generally cruise missiles will be carrying lesser of fuel. Why? Because cruise missiles also utilize their fuel while they are on the path, because, let's say, like, that fuel is utilized for maneuvering its path. In case of ballistic missile, it is kind of launch and forget. So initially you set the target, you launch it, somewhere it goes and it finally strikes, right? So, like, that only you need fuel to lift it up to a maximum point. After then it will be reaching. But in case of ballistic missile, you will not be having the capacity of maneuvering its direction after it is launched. But in case of cruise missiles, what you can do, you can actually maneuver its direction. You can maneuver, so maneuvering capacity is there. Okay, you can maneuver the cruise missiles. That is the thing. So now North Korea has actually tested some cruise missiles, right, as part of its weapon trials. So it is a kind of, it can be seen as a threat for the South Korea, right? So with this, now let us move to another article. This is a very short article. This is linked with the article that we have discussed related to farmers, related to Kisan. So in this article, they say that the MSP guarantee across crops can raise income and demand. So basically, as of now, huge number of farmers are protesting against the government. They are marching towards Delhi. And what is their demand? They want that MSP should be legalized. There should be an act made by the government to legalize MSP. And it should include all crops. It should not only include few selected crops, right? So in this article, basically this article has been published by a private agency, CRISIL, right? So CRISIL says that if the government guarantees MSP for all the crops, what it is going to do, it will raise the income, and it will raise the income of the farmers. It will raise demand of various food crops, and the thing is, like, we will be able to address the issue of, let's say, abundance of wheat and rice. So other crops will also come into prominence. Other crops will also be let's say, like, will also be marketed by the farmers. So here they say a broader guaranteed MSP will offer cash support to farmers wherein price plummet below MSP, the rating farm says. So basically here the author says, like, how much does the government have to pay? The government will only have to pay the difference between the MSP and the market price. If the market price goes below MSP, then government will have to pay the difference price only. Okay, government does not have to pay the entire price for it. Okay, and that price will come out to be around 21,000 crore for the market year 2023. Okay, it's going to come out to be 21,000 crore. This is all. Okay, so they have mentioned about Kharif crops also, Rabi crops also, right? So under the MSP system, they include crops from Kharif and Rabi, but as of now they have limited basket of crops. Around 23 crops are covered, but farmers are demanding that all crops must be MSP linked, and like, they want a legal guarantee for it. Okay, so that's all for the day. Thank you so much everyone for attending today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.